Hey there and welcome to my YouTube channel Life of a Walter, which I'm just gonna rename from my old channel name Ludwig, which I just used for private YouTube reasons. But yeah, this is gonna be my first video. So first of all, who am I? My name is Ludwig, or Ludwig in English, and I'm a 19-year-old working holidaymaker from Germany, but now in Australia. And I came here for a variety of reasons, which I will get into right now. So, long story short, my whole family obviously lives in Germany, and my father's ex-assistant was working in a hostel in Germany when she met an Australian guy. And fast forward, they are now living together in Australia and they have a child. And in 2023, quite a long time ago actually, they came over to Germany and they talked to me about what I want to do in the future, and they highly recommended me to travel just anywhere in the world, but they also recommended Australia because Australia is kind of the travel destination if you want to go for a road trip or if you want to work. So I got very fascinated by talking to them. So I decided to come here after my high school because I wasn't sure what I want to do after my high school finished, because it was like, should I study, should I go work, what's the plan? Because there's so many options, right? When you just finished high school, you haven't seen anything. So I decided to come here, take a gap year, get my first ever work experience, meet new people, just improve my English and just see the world a bit and enjoy it. Like, not take a year off, but like a year on instead, where I can just make new experiences, meet new friends and everything. So yeah, that's why I'm here. So yeah, let's get into how my first 4 months almost now in Australia went so far. So first, I started my travels on the 17th September, where I then took a flight to Australia, which was pretty nerve-wracking because I never flew alone before that. So yeah, I took one flight from Munich to Bangkok, which was a good flight. I think it was with Thai Airlines, but it was pretty delayed. So when I arrived in Bangkok, I only had like 40 minutes to get through security and then board the flight, because it was a very short connection in between, like a time slot. So yeah, it was very stressful because in Munich's airport, for example, everything is very structured. You know where you're going. But Bangkok's airport was a bit, lots of people standing in big just lines, and you couldn't really see where the flight was. The only direction I ever got to where my connecting flight was by a paper a lady held up that was working at the airport. So I just went off of that, just called my mom, stressfully boarded the second flight, but I managed to get there in the end. And then that flight went to Melbourne, and then I went from Melbourne to Brisbane via a domestic flight. So yeah, that was my first experience arriving in Australia. And as soon as I arrived in Brisbane, just took a cab to the nearest hostel that I booked. For my first week in Brisbane, I just wanted to go to Brisbane to get everything that I had to get sorted. Like, for example, the tax file number, which is a number you have to get sorted by the government to pay less taxes. I get my phone number, my bank account and everything. So that's what I did just in the first week, organized a bunch of stuff. And I was pretty surprised by Brisbane because it was very different than I imagined, because it's on the maps, it's close to the beach, but there's actually no beach. It's just like harbor and everything, and there's a river, but you can't really swim in it. So it was different than I imagined. Also, it was very like business heavy, kind of like I imagine Frankfurt would maybe be similar to. But yeah, I enjoyed it for 1 week, but after that I was like, I'm in Australia, I want to go see the beach and everything. So that's why I decided after my 1 week was over in Brisbane to come down to the Gold Coast to be closer to the beach and also look for work down here, as it's a very touristy region. So there's lots of work in the hospitality sector here. So because the public transport is very cheap here in Queensland, I could just take the train down to Gold Coast, just like 2.5 hours, and then I arrived here, stayed in the hostel. And now another funny story of kind of how everything is related to people I kind of know in Germany or like new in Germany, which was that now I'm staying with my German roommate called Kilian, and before I came to Australia, I've actually never met him before and never heard of him either. But when I came to Brisbane, my mom, who does social media, posted that I'm coming to Australia, going to Brisbane, and then Kilian's mom follows my mom because like she took a course from my mom, like a social media course. And when my mom posted that I'm going to Brisbane, Kilian's mom texted him that Kilian is also going here. So then when I booked the hostel in Gold Coast, it was actually a pretty big coincidence. Kilian was already staying here, but I randomly booked into the same hostel he was staying in. So yeah, that's how we met for the first time here in the hostel. I think it was the 25th September or something like that. So yeah, that was pretty fun. So after we first met, we just stayed in a hostel for the week, but we also started looking for a more like permanent accommodation here, because hostel is obviously more expensive, and also you have to be around people all the time, which is kind of like when you want to look for work and want to get home to like a private area, it's like a hostel isn't really optimal with like 10 people in one sleeping hall. So we already started looking for jobs and looking for accommodation at the same time, which for jobs I just printed out a lot of CVs and just went from restaurant to restaurant introducing myself. But obviously it was very hard to find a job at first because I had zero job experience in Germany. So I just went from place to place introducing myself. Usually people just said, oh yeah, we can take your CV in, but then you usually didn't hear back from them. Filmt es eigentlich? Kann man das kurz checken? Okay. As we were in the hostel, we were already checking out different accommodations, but they weren't too good because one of them was pretty far out, and we actually thought about going there because it wasn't that expensive, but in the end the owner suddenly switched up, like put the price a bit higher and said that the place is actually not fit for 2 people. So yeah, that didn't work out. To kind of kill the time, because we didn't want to keep staying in a hostel because the hostel was getting more expensive as the tourist season was approaching in Gold Coast. So instead we went couch surfing, which was a big first for me. I've never couch surfed in my life. If you don't know what couch surfing means, it's a term to describe just, yeah, going to a place of a friend and just sleeping on the couch or wherever you can on a mattress on the floor, which we then did at a place from our friend that's called Simone. Simone knew Kilian from an event that was like it was a modeling event, I think, and they both were there together at the same time and talked, and that's how they knew each other. And Simone was so nice to let us stay at her place. Yeah, then we stayed at her place for, I think it was 4 nights, and booked an Airbnb for the next 10 days after. And while all that was happening, we were checking out different places on the app Flatmates, like to rent out. Flatmates like the biggest platform here for either looking for a flat or looking for people to join your flat. So then we on one day checked out this apartment here. We just like, this is a complex of 3 towers, and we checked out 2 apartments in 2 different towers. The first apartment was kind of okay. It was a bit, I don't know, there was like a mattress on the floor and we didn't really like the view too much. But the second apartment here was where we really got persuaded, because on the way from the first apartment we checked out, which was like okay, we went through what we call the 3rd floor here, which is a big area with a gym and all the pools. So we went through that to get to the other apartment, and then we went up here, got to this apartment, and this apartment has a beautiful view of the ocean, which I'm gonna show you maybe right here or here. And yeah, we were just immediately, you know, just struck by how beautiful it is. Even though there wasn't like a couch or anything here, and it wasn't like the best living space ever, just the proximity to the tram line and the view of the ocean, and also the people that we saw here when we were doing the inspection seemed really chill. We just chose to rent this place, got the deposit fixed for the place, and then came in here, signed the contract, and we moved in here on the 21st or the 20th January. So yeah, ever since that we've been staying in this apartment. Back to the job story. Now, when we moved here, I was still looking for a lot of jobs, just going to different malls, different tourist sectors to look for hospitality jobs. And one time I actually got a trial at a Brazilian restaurant, which was like a barbecue place. It was the first time I ever had a trial. but I felt pretty confident after it. It was like pretty crazy. I had to carry around like huge buckets of like chicken wings and whatnot to the guests because it was like a all-you-can-eat type buffet. Or it wasn't even a buffet, it was just a all-you-can-eat, and we just went around with the buckets handing out chicken and everything to people. So that was pretty crazy. Just my first work experience walking to this big barbecue place with like lots of tables, and it was smelling like meat everywhere. And yeah, my bicep was sore for like 2 days, 3 days after, because I just had to carry these big bowls. But yeah, sadly or not sadly, they didn't take me. I don't know if I would have enjoyed working there any longer now that I actually, because in the beginning it was obviously like exciting. Oh my god, my first work experience. I hope I get my job like instantly. But looking back to it, maybe it was a good thing that they didn't take me, because I don't know, working in a barbecue place, carrying around heavy bowls, and then the pay also wasn't that crazy, so maybe it's a good thing that it didn't happen. But at some point I had success when I walked into a Greek restaurant called On Fire here in Broad Beach, and they gave me a trial, and a few days later I came in for the trial and I got the job, which was super nice because the two managers there, they're very kind, and they told me that they give people with good English that walk into the store and look confident a chance every time. And yeah, that's how I got my first job, and I was very excited because yeah, I've never worked before, and then I finally found a job in a different country. So once I got the job, I was very happy, but in the beginning they couldn't give me many hours because I was obviously inexperienced, and they had a lot of different waiters working at the restaurant as well. So I then went on the job hunt even longer than I expected it to go, because the two other jobs I'm working as well now, I found like half a month after I found my first job. So one day I walked into Harbortown, which is a big shopping mall here, and yeah, just started handing out my CVs again. And a place, an Italian restaurant called Nonna's, they were really kind to me and offered me a trial to come in one day for 4 hours and work for them. So I was like, yeah, that's good, because I was only working in a Greek restaurant now and was looking to get more hours, and the Italian restaurant seemed like a new experience because I hadn't worked there yet. So I went there, took the trial, and everything was good. It was very different from the Greek restaurant, because the Greek restaurant is like smaller, like 17, 18 tables all inside. But Nonna's, the Italian restaurant, super big. It's like 50 tables or something, inside and outside sections and everything, and the whole place was just a lot busier as it was situated in a mall. So yeah, that was really exciting that I got the job there, and I took it a few days after because it was at the same time in Harbortown. Like I got a trial for a retail shop called Para, which was like a retail shop selling like big bags and suitcase and everything. But I went there for training for 4 hours once, and after that they didn't get back to me. So maybe I'm not a retail guy, I don't know. But I actually felt confident. It was like very new working in a retail place, but I thought I adapted fast, but probably they had a better candidate walking in, so I didn't get the job at Para. But yeah, instead I got the job at Nonna's. So now I had 2 jobs in both restaurants. One Italian restaurant, actually getting pictures taken by me behind the scenes as I'm filming this video, so don't mind the lightning in my face. Yeah, so now I was working in a Greek and an Italian restaurant, but I was getting hours of around like 20-25 hours, and I still wanted a bit more. So then I found out that there was a karaoke bar close to our place here, and I'm a big karaoke fan. Like my father has a karaoke machine at home, just like a mixer, and you can connect it to a beamer and an HDMI cable to your laptop, so you can play just any songs with like YouTube free karaoke videos. And we always had it at parties. I was always singing every party. I actually hosted some of my own parties with the karaoke machine because I just thought it's like such a fun thing to do. And yeah, so I was like, a karaoke bar, like what's more perfect for me than that job? So I went there and talked to the boss of the place once, and he told me he would get back to me. It was like actually a pretty promising talk, and I was hoping to get the job. But then for 1 week he didn't get back to me. So then I gave the place a call, and he just, like, the boss picked up and he just said, oh, I was too busy, I couldn't get the mail or the call through to you, and said, oh, I'll send you a mail soon. But then 2 weeks after I still didn't get a mail. So I built up all my courage and walked over to the place in person again and talked to the boss again, which he then handed me a business card with a mail on top, and then I just sent all my infos via mail just to the email address. And I think, yeah, I got an interview, and the interview was all good, and yeah, then I got hired by the place, got some training, and now I've been working at the karaoke bar for a bit more than 2 months, which has been a very interesting experience as well, because in the two restaurants I was obviously just working as a waiter, not doing anything like cleaning task or something. But at the karaoke bar, I serve drinks, I bring drinks back, I explain the machine to customers, I clean the rooms and everything. So it's a lot of different tasks I do there, which was very interesting for me to learn. It was actually quite a humbling experience the first time I got trained there, when they showed me how they mop the rooms and everything. And I was pretty slow with the mop, just trying to mop the floor, because it's like we had to mop the floor twice because we were opening the next day and like more people. So my coworker just zoomed away with his mop while I was struggling to keep up with him, just sweating, which was quite humbling, but everyone there was super nice to me. So I adapted to the situation quite fast and learned a lot of cool new skills. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. So now I finally got between 30 and 40 hours each week. It varied quite much because in the Greek restaurant I was part-time, and in the other two, like Nonas and E-Star Karaoke, I was a casual, or still am, but I'm gonna finish up pretty soon. So the hours varied every week, and yeah, but finally I was employed 3 different jobs, even though it was quite hard sometimes. Like, for example, working in Harbour Town in the north of Gold Coast in the morning, and then in the south of Gold Coast in Broad Beach at the Greek restaurant in the evening. Sometimes was pretty challenging, but I think it was very worth it, because I've learned very valuable lessons just on how to do customer service, but also what I personally value in jobs. Like, some things I didn't like at the Italian restaurant, I liked more at the Greek restaurant, or the other way around. And just learning about hospitality and working for myself and just financing myself for the first time in my life was a very, very valuable experience, I think. So now, what's next? I've been living in Gold Coast for 3.5 months now, and been working here as well. But a gap year isn't any fun when you just work, right? So me and Kilian just bought a car a couple of days ago. We were looking for a car for almost 1 month now, because we want to go on a road trip around Australia, just East Coast and everything. So yeah, we've been saving up the last 3.5 months at our jobs to now be able to go on a road trip. So the car buying process was actually pretty hard as well, because we in total, I think, inspected 5 cars. The first one we inspected was obviously quite damaged and wasn't anything, so we didn't even take it to the mechanic. But the next 2 we inspected after, they both looked quite promising. But when we took it to the mechanic after, it turned out they were pretty faulty, had a lot of problems which we would have to fix. One of them was actually, like, it looked pretty good to us. It was a Nissan X-Trail, because we were looking for like pretty big cars with big storage space, so we can go on a road trip and put everything where we can like just fit it. And we checked out the car by ourselves once, and then we scheduled an inspection. So when we went to the mechanic inspected the car, and while the mechanic was coming back, the owner of the car said he needs to go like quick and pick up his wife. So he didn't even listen to the 1-minute report of the mechanic and just drove off in like a kind of getaway situation. And yeah, the mechanic told us he wouldn't even buy the car for $500. So yeah, we ended up not taking that car. So then we checked out a different Nissan X-Trail a couple of days later, and the sellers were actually German from near Stuttgart. And yeah, we thought the car was pretty nice, went on a test drive and everything. And then we followed up with an inspection a couple of days later at the mechanic. It turned out it had some problems, but there weren't any major ones. There was a couple of problems like could break in 6 weeks, could break in 6 years, which is like, we kind of have to take the risk because our budget isn't crazy for any car, so we had to take a car with 280,000 kilometers on it already. But yeah, we transferred the vehicle, went to the transport ministry here, and that was all good. All worked perfectly fine, and now we finally have a car. It was so exciting, just finally getting back to driving a car, because I used to drive a lot in Germany, but here I've just been relying on public transport, which is obviously nice because public transport isn't as expensive or anything, but also you can't really see anything outside of the major like tram and bus lines in the city. So now that we have a car, we've been driving a lot already, buying all sorts of gadgets like Bluetooth adapters and phone holder for the car and everything. But yeah, it's been really fun, and the car's been really good. Even though we still have to service it a bit, we are very happy with what we got now. So yeah, that's gonna be a wrap on this video, just kind of retelling what I've done here and what my story here is. And I'm definitely gonna post more videos, maybe vlog style, maybe styles like this. I don't know yet, but I think filming YouTube videos is quite fun and just talking to the camera. So I'm gonna keep on doing that. Now that we're going on a road trip from the 21st January on, I'm probably gonna upload some vlogs and stuff like that. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's exciting times, and I'm very happy to film my first YouTube video. I'm sorry if I'm looking like an amateur, but yeah, this is my first video. It's gonna be a bit scrappy on some ends, but I hope you enjoyed my story, and I hope you want to follow along for more, because I will definitely be posting a lot more. See you and have a good day.